Hi everybody. Hi everybody, this is Liz with 143 Handmade, and today we are going to work on a Mask Make Monday, and we're going to make these what I call tall skinny double pockets. But you could turn it into a triple pocket depending on how you mount it to the page. So this is a finished one. And then this one's kind of halfway through, so I could remember the process I went through to make them, because sometimes when you're playing and you make something and then you kind of forget how you did it. I mean, it's kind of funny that happens, but it totally does. So I have my box here right next to me that I keep on a shelf, and it has, let me back you up just a little. It has a ton of different types of book page in it, and it just lives on a shelf just right there by my by my desk. Excuse me. I'll bring you back down so you can see what I'm doing. There we go. I think that's good. Okay, but this is a way to use up a book page. Let's see. Do I want to tear these? No, I don't really want to tear this. So let me find some that are already single-sided, if you know what I mean. Let's see. There's this one. I don't mind tearing these. Okay. So, the first thing you got to do is just have a single sheet. You don't want it doubled up. The full, like this. You don't need that much. Just the singles are great, which is great because I know when I take books apart, I never get them all to come out as, a nice sheet of paper. So, in this case, it is easier to do if you have a nice edge here as opposed to the ruffly. A lot of times I really like that ruffle and I will leave it, but in this case, the flat edge is needed. It doesn't need to be super straight, but it does need to be flat. So it'll glue better. Okay, so then all we do is you just take it and you fold it about a third, and then just overlap it. And it doesn't really matter how lined up these words are and whatnot, because you're going to cover most of it up anyways. As you can see in this finished one, you can only really see this front panel, and you could even cover that up. So if you're worried about this text being right side up, like on this page, I did that. What you want to do is, after you have your tube folded, and let's go ahead and glue the tube closed. At this point, just need a small line of glue. You don't really need a lot. This holds together really nicely. Ooh, no. I jumped into my glue there a little bit. And then push that down. Okay, there we go. Have that nice and glued. But if you want this part right side up, like I was saying, you need to have it upside down to you. And I like to put the glued edge in the center, but you can totally put it on the back. And then you fold this up as much or as little as you want. You can fold it quite tall to the top. I liked it to where it was about a third, I guess, so it would be about halfway. The top of this one is about halfway the distance, half as tall as the other. But there we go. You can totally use your bone folder if you really want to get it super, super tight edges. But then what I did is I took another piece of paper that would fit, and I glued it onto there, like that. I'll show you what I mean. And you could totally make this another pocket as well, but I thought that it was, for such a small pocket, I didn't want to add too many pockets on pockets on pockets. And this way it adds some stability to it. So see, what I've done is I've glued this area, and then I've left that paper there, and I've glued the exposed portion. And then I'm just going to refold it, reposition this piece of paper to exactly where I want it, and then squash everything down. Rub it on, and then what you can do, this is totally optional, is you can stick your your circle punch down in there. It's really hard to see. I'm not sure I can really get the camera angled in there. And you just pop your... You could totally do that before you glue it down, if you remember to do that. Let's see, where's the little half circle? There it goes. So, and that gives you your little thumb hole. If you want to, you don't need to do this at all. Oops, sorry. Little fumble fingers this morning. Oops. Okay, here we go. And just do like that. And then you've got thumb holes. And you see mine are a little bit askew. I really don't care. That doesn't bother me. But you don't, you know, there's lots of different modifications you can do to this, obviously. But then you have a short pocket in the front and a tall pocket in the back. And then, depending on how, like I said, how you mount it to the page, you could have another side pocket. You could make this a belly band. You could make it a corner tuck. You know, you could do so many different things with how you mount it. So... that's how it's done, or how I do it anyways. And so I'm going to go ahead and just start folding a bunch of these, do it a little bit more assembly line style, and see how many I can get done in just the next few minutes. And because I do want that straight edge, I think I'm going to go ahead and just use my scissors and cut off the fold here instead of tearing it. Because it doesn't, as you can see, because the way it folds, it doesn't need to be straight, it just needs to be flat. I think that one's a little bit too torn on in a little bit, so we'll go ahead and get rid of that. You do want to make sure that the paper you're using has some good strength left to it. You know, you don't want to use a brittle paper. But this spot right here would be a great place to use your brittle paper, because it would still add that reinforcement, allow things to slide over that edge nicely, and all of that, and it would stabilize the brittle paper. It stabilizes the pocket and it stabilizes the brittle paper, so it is a great place to use that. So let's see. Here we go. Not being able to think of any chit chat today. Don't have a lot going on other than, you know, listings and computer work and the behind the scenes camera work and all that, you know, it's kind of boring. Don't really have much to say about it. So, our dogs have been going through a phase. They're still puppies. They're about 10 months old right now, and you know, we're just going through that dominance, you know, assertion and rebellious teenager phase that they go through, and so we've been struggling with that a little bit. But they're really good dogs, though. They're coming along very nicely with their training. The pace that is not quite as quick as I would like, but that's totally on me, not on them. I haven't been putting the time into it. That is one of our older dogs. She barks at nothing these days, but that's her alone, so that's how I know I can ignore it. Because when she's barking by herself, it's usually just the wind. And the other dogs are just like, shut up, we're napping. They're just loud. But, okay, so yeah, to punch your thumb hole a little easier, you can do it at this step where you can get in there. I don't really recommend doing that on this side because it does have to be glued. And then you're going to cover it as well. And so to make that, you know, look right, I think it looks better if you do it after you glue it. But you can totally come in here and do this one. I think I'm going to have to go and calm her down. I'm sorry about that. Okay guys, I'm back. So let's see, I forgot what I was saying, but this is the easiest way to add this thumb hole if you're going to do that. So, and you know, you can go pretty deep. I wouldn't recommend going like so deep that you're, you know, curving back in, no more than half, but you know, I tend to do mine just quite small, but that's totally a personal preference thing, you know. you can ink these up, and you can add stickers, and you can do, you know, all kinds of things. This is just a base, and then I will, you know, I'll customize it when I actually install it into a journal. I have started creating some mass make bundles that'll be showing up in my Etsy shop soon. And what that is it's all the stuff that I make on the Mass Make Mondays, because I can't seem to just make singles of anything. I'm putting together in little packets, and for just a couple bucks, and to help de-stash all of these beautiful things that I'm making, but I'm making them faster than I can use them, so, which is so awesome. It's super fun. I love that I'm able to do that. And plus, not everybody wants to make all of their own ephemera, so I figure, you know, it's a win-win that way, you know. Oh, I was punching that before covering it. That's not how I wanted to do that. It's funny, you know, you make these things, but, you know, everyone you make just slightly different. And that's just kind of how it works, isn't it? Even when you are mass making things. But got one more here to glue together. But yeah, we'll be building a dog kennel tomorrow, my husband and I, to help us with our older dog, who, like I said, she's getting grumpy and she's struggling a little bit, and so we need to, you know, we need to have some place where she can go outside and she can be by herself and nobody can bug her, you know. And that way she doesn't get in any trouble for being, you know, mean, and you know, nobody hurts her, because like I said, she's not young. She's 7, and she's which is not super old, I know, but at the same time, you know, different dogs age differently, and she's acting like an old dog, you know. And we've taken her to the vet and everything, and had some tests done and whatnot, and she's okay. She's just, you know, aging quickly. Trying to get rid of my glue stringies that way. So, and then what I will do is I will take a sheet of paper. I really like just using coffee stain paper, because then it covers the space and everything, but it doesn't add a huge amount of thickness or bulk. I also really like using pieces that are like hymnal pages and stuff that are brittle, that I still want to use. Let's see. When you know, you don't need it to be super tight, but you do want it to fill the space. Or you can just not do this at all. You can totally omit this stuff if you want to. This is totally optional. But this is the way that I do it. I really like adding this paper. I think that it adds a finishing touch to it. Because, let's say, you know, I mean, you can totally glue right down in here, just on the sides here, and make that an additional pocket behind there, so then you would have, you know, 2 pockets the same size. I don't really care for doing that. I just feel like stuff was getting caught up, and then this edge was just kind of weird, and so what I like doing is adding another sheet of paper like so. Go ahead and just do it this way. That's long enough. And then we fold it, crease it, and it should tear pretty much right on that line. That's good enough. And then we glue it down. And you don't need a huge amount of glue, you know, and you don't need to, you know, like fill the entire space, but I really like to get like that top edge quite well. And I'm not squirting out the glue anymore, but I am using the tip to move it around. There we go. So I don't have lumpy bumpies of glue. And then I just slip it in this pocket, just a little bit. And then what that does is it allows things to slip in and out of that pocket without getting hung up on that edge, on that back edge there. So there we go. And then we come in here after doing that with our corner rounder, or not quarter rounder, a circle punch to create our thumb hole. Yeah, see, mine actually has these little notches on the side, one on each side, and that's the halfway mark. So I usually just go a little bit shy of that when I'm going to use it this direction. I really like to use it upside down where I can actually see it, but when I can't, it is really nice that it has those lines on it. This is, I'm not even sure how to say that, Marvi UCHIDA. That's the design patent, 1437. I really have no idea where I got it, when I got it. It's just one of those things that's just been in my craft supplies forever. So that's how I put these together, and why I do it the way that I do it. So I'm just going to glue these guys down real quick. You know, and you can do it like I did that first one where you stick the paper in. You can make sure that you really get your edges nicely here and really make sure that sticks down. I don't always make sure that that's super stuck down. And it still seems, you know, to work just fine. Let's see, here we go. Yeah, I have two more up there. I think they're off camera, but here we go. Get right along that edge to make sure it's really secure. I don't always worry about it when I first throw it together in this rough set, because I know I'm going to be, oh man, you see that just jump out of my hand like that? But I know I'm going to be doing more to it, you know, adding stickers, you know, adding embellishments, things of that nature. So any little spot that I feel like I didn't quite get good enough, I can always go back and get at a later point. But yeah, it really doesn't take much glue to glue that down, thankfully. So here we go. I have another sheet of this, or another piece of this. It's a little too wide for these. That's funny. You know, because each one is slightly different. So let's see, I'm actually going to just trim this down a little, because it almost fit. And then now it will fit quite nicely. And see on this one, no, I was going to say I might go ahead and just put it down, but no, I'll just repunch the hole is what I'll do. I don't need all of this, so I'll take this and grip it lower. And then this little bitty bit will go in my little, tiny papers thing, and I use those to make clusters and snippet rolls and things like that. So there we go. Tuck it in. So these are simple. It's a simple concept. I'm sure that it's been done before. I'm sure I'm not the, you know, creator or anything like that. This is just something that occurred to me one night in front of the TV when I was playing with Book Page. This is what came about. Like I said, I'm sure I'm not the only artist to have ever done this by any means. But here we go. I need some more paper. Let's see, instead of pulling the ruler out, I think I'm just going to fold this one like this. Crease it down really nice. And then it should tear pretty good. I said pretty good, didn't I? I didn't say perfect. Come on. That last little bit, really. You know, or after you fold it, you can always cut it instead of tearing. Let's see. That's good enough lengthwise. And there's another one. Let's see, I wonder if this is, yeah, it's just long enough. Okay. So, here we go. This I try and get that top edge really nicely, so that way as you're sticking stuff in and out, that's going to be your weak point. That's going to be the spot that's, you know, most vulnerable. Slide it into the pocket. And you can bring it all the way up completely flush, or leave the little, you know, the little rim around, whatever makes you happy. For me, it kind of depends on how close I got the width on that particular tear. You know, sometimes the tears are quite close, and so I go ahead and put it flush, but other times it's a little bit, you know, narrow like this, and I just feel like it looks better if you go ahead and leave that top edge exposed as well. I got that thumb hole way off to the side, didn't I? You know, and I know that would totally ruin the piece as far as some people are concerned. It really doesn't bother me. You know, it still functions. It's still going to do what it needs to do. Yeah, in a second, I'm going to wipe that off. You know, and you know, I know a lot of artists on here, you know, you'll see them use a little baby wipe or something like that to wipe their hands off. Honestly, I generally wipe my hands on my jeans. For real. I have crafter work jeans that are just painted on, and they're all gluey and everything else. So, and the jean, it rubs off the glue quite nicely. Oh, it's not quite long enough. There. Okay. There we go. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and trim this just a smidgen, because I think that looks a little bit funny. That's a little bit of a tall gap. I don't mind there being a gap there, but I feel like that was a little excessive. So we're going to go ahead and trim this one off. Not something I normally do, but you know, you make adjustments. You know, you make adjustments as you go for each individual one. Get that piece out of there so I can see what I'm doing. There we go. And there we are. So let's see, we made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bases. That's the one I already had done. This one I'd kind of started, but I finished it up. And so these are ready to be used and finished off for the particular journal. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today. You can make these with any kind of book page. I should have showed it done in you know, scrapbook paper and stuff like that. I will get better at these, guys. So thank you so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like what you see. And